This is the fourth in a series of presentations American Legion Post 365 has created to honor our war veterans. The first three honored those who served in Korea, Vietnam, and the War on Terrorism. They were a little easier to do as there was a lot of input from members in the way of photos and first-hand accounts, and the fact that I had witnessed them either through being there, watching the war unfold on TV and in the media, or in the case of the Korean War, from what I learned in school and from my father when he talked about it. Creating this presentation was a little more difficult, as I was rather young when the World War II broke out. As you can see, I wasn't quite old enough to join up. My memories of World War II are mostly from my father being away from home. He worked at Winchester in New Haven, Connecticut, and due to his job with the government, modifying and testing the M1 rifle, he was away quite often. What I remember mostly about World War II back in the 1940s is the music my dad and mom listened to on the radio. There was no TV. And from the movies we saw at the Whitney Theater. Hollywood made it seem as if the Army fought in Europe, the Marines fought in the South Pacific, and the Navy sailed in both oceans. At least they got that part right. And that was about all I ever knew about the war when I was growing up. School didn't help much as I was a terrible student. So, rather than try and tell the story of World War II to the men who lived it, I'll share some of the memories that I have of the 1940s. I think you will remember some of them as fondly as I do.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the Army now, a blowin' reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B.
The 1930s and 1940s was the golden era of music. Benny Goodman, Count Basie, Glenn Miller, singers like Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters. When the war began, all these great musicians and performers contributed their talents to the war effort through patriotic music and songs of victory, upbeat music. Patriotic music on this scale hadn't been heard since the Civil War. Songs like Bell-Bottom Trousers, Bless 'Em All, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy from Company B, Moonlight Serenade. But there was another song, one my father played time and time again. The song was Roger Young. Enjoy this recording by Burl Ives and the pictures and events and people we all remember.
Oh, they've got no time for glory in the infantry. Oh, they've got no use for praises loudly sung. But in every soldier's heart, in all the infantry, shines the name of Roger Young. Shines the name, Roger Young, fought and died for the men he marched among. To the everlasting glory of the infantry lives the story of Private Roger Young. Caught in ambush lay a company of riflemen, just grenades against machine guns in the gloom. Caught in ambush till this one of 20 riflemen volunteered to meet his doom. It was he who drew the fire of the enemy, that a company of men might live to fight. And before the deadly fire of the enemy stood the man we hail tonight. Stood the man, Roger Young, fought and died for the men he marched among. like the everlasting courage of the infantry, was the courage of Private Roger Young. On the island of New Georgia in the Solomons stands a simple wooden cross alone to tell that beneath the silent coral of the Solomons sleeps a man remembered well. Sleeps a man, Roger Young, fought and died for the men he marched among. In the everlasting spirit of the infantry breathes the spirit of Private Roger Young. Shines the name Roger Young, fought and died for the men he marched among. To the everlasting glory of the infantry lives the story of Private Roger Young.
Roger Young not only gave his life for his country, he gave it while saving the lives of his buddies, and there is nothing more heroic than that.